Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Witch's Castle. I'm Will Castle, and today we're going to be doing another deck tech. We're looking at Captain America First Avenger. So, Captain America just came out recently in the Marvel Secret Lair. It featured a handful of other characters like Iron Man, Black Panther, Storm, and Wolverine. We've got more Marvel stuff coming down the road, as far as I'm aware. But we're focusing on Captain America today because he's an equipment commander, and I really like equipment decks. One of my favorite decks of all time is my Sir Gawain deck. I hope to do a deck tech at some point and put it up for you guys to look at. But today we're talking about Captain America because it'll appease the algorithm. Captain America is in the zeitgeist right now. There's a new movie coming out. It looks pretty good. I'm excited. And also because I just got my copy and I'm excited to play with it because Ether Spark just came out in the Ether Drift set, and I'm excited to turn Captain America into a Planeswalker. So let's get into what we've decided to do with it. We'll look at Captain America first. So he is a 3-cost commander. He's a red, white, and a blue, and he's a 4/4. He has an activated ability that says pay 3, unattach an equipment from Captain America. He deals damage divided equal to that. Well, hold on. Word's hard. He deals damage equal to that equipment's mana value divided as you choose among 1, 2, or 3 targets. He also has catch. At the beginning of combat on your turn, attach up to 1 target equipment you control to Captain America. So I've decided with this deck to do a legendary creatures and keyword soup deck. A lot of the equipment in here and a lot of the creatures have keywords like Vigilance, Death Touch, or Lifelink. Death Touch and Lifelink being the 2 biggest ones. Because if you give Captain America Death Touch and or Lifelink, the damage that's being dealt when he throws is coming from him. So you actually do get the Lifelink triggers and you do the Death Touch damage. So I'm not running as many big, scary equipment in here as I am small ones that give important keywords out. And then I'm using some key pieces to share the keywords with all my other creatures. So I've got Nahiri in here as the one and only Planeswalker in the deck. The relevant ability on this one for me is the -2. You may put an equipment card from your hand or graveyard onto the battlefield. We'll have a couple of obviously big scary equipment that people will want to blow up. This will be an easy way to get them back and or put them out and into play to begin with. The +2 is make a dude and attach an equipment to it, which is okay. That helps protect it. It'll help in a pinch. And the -10 makes a really good equipment, but that equipment doesn't have a mana value, so I'm not nearly as interested in it. But Double Strike is a worthwhile keyword to have. So if you can make it happen, do it. Coming down into the creatures, we're actually only running 19. It's pretty creature light, but they're all legendary. There are no non-legendary creatures in this deck. And you'll see that I picked a lot of them because they have keywords or can give themselves keywords. And if they're not in here because of that, they're in here because they cheat equip costs. So we have things like Arden and Brunor. Arden equips for free at the beginning of combat like Captain America. Brunor makes the first equip we activate free. And then we're running Dalekos, who can be a mana dork to cast or activate abilities of our equipment. Things like Danitha to help return equipment from the graveyard. Astor makes an equip cost, or makes the equipment cost 1 less to equip. Is super powerful. So those are all just legendary creatures that happened to be good with equipment, and it pushed me into deciding to make it a legendary creature focused deck. Coming down here though, we have some of the more interesting creatures in the deck. We've got Audric Lunarch Marshal. He's the linchpin of why we have the keyword soup idea going on to begin with. I really like this card. He came out originally in Shadows over Innistrad, which was one of the early sets that happened when I came out. I started playing Magic in Battle for Zendikar. So I am very nostalgic for anything from the Battle for Zendikar up until, I would say, War of the Spark, War of the Spark back is kind of my like nostalgia period. That's when I was learning how to play and get good at Magic. So I've been revisiting a lot of the cards from that era. And this card was actually my first pre-release promo, so I really wanted to run it again. And he says, at the beginning of each combat, creatures you control gain first strike until end of turn if a creature you control has first strike. The same is true for flying, death touch, double strike, haste, hexproof, indestructible, lifelink, menace, reach, skulk, trample, and vigilance. Obviously, we have quite the assortment of those keywords amongst the creatures. We've got vigilance and haste. Commander Mustard actually gives soldiers vigilance, trample, and haste. Audric's a soldier. Captain America's a soldier. We have a couple of other soldiers in here, so it'll boost them. We have first strike. We have lifelink. We have equipment that will give death touch. So Audric makes it easier for us to spread the love with our equipment. Because Captain America wants the equipment to be stuck onto him and then thrown, it's easy to over-attach a bunch of stuff onto one guy. I just decided that I'm going to keep doing that and put Audric in here. Because if all of those equipment have keywords and they're on one dude, and Audric shows up, now they're all on all of our dudes. Every dude will have Vigilance, Death Touch, Lifelink, and Trample. Like, that's really powerful and something that hopefully will help mitigate the lower creature quantity in the deck and the fact that we're hyper-focusing on gluing them and removing them from our commander primarily. The other really interesting creature in the deck is Gearson Starn. He's a 3-2 with Ward 2, and he says whenever another source you control deals exactly 1 damage to a permanent or player, Gearson Starn deals 2 damage to that permanent or player. So, with Captain America, you can divide the damage you remove. So let's say you remove an equipment that has 3 mana cost, and you choose to deal 1 damage to 3 different creatures. That is exactly 1 damage being dealt to each of those creatures, so Gearson Starn will deal the additional 2. Basically, if you throw your shield with Captain America off of a bunch of creatures, this guy will be there to cap them for you. He's like the Black Widow team up that we're looking for with Captain America. So it's really, really solid. Once Captain America has Death Touch, it's not necessarily as relevant for the creatures, but it will become very relevant for the players real quickly. And we're also running the Reality Chip in here. It's a legendary creature and it's an equipment, so it fits both of the things we want it to, and it gives us card advantage. Equipment decks often struggle with card advantage, so this just made sense, honestly. And getting to glue it onto Captain America is kind of funny. Coming down here, we have instants and sorceries. We're fairly light on these because we're a permanence-based deck. You guys have heard me talk before about Supreme Verdict. Uncounterable board wipes will get played in any deck that I can play them in, period. So, Supreme Verdict's in here. The other 2 board wipes we have are Divine Reckoning and Single Combat. These are both board wipes that leave behind 1 creature, and obviously we want Captain America behind. The idea is that we have all these equipment, and they can equip at least 1 at a time for free to cap. So we would rather blow up all of the other creatures and just leave cap and 1 of each of the other opponent's creatures to fight, because at the end of the day, we're banking on Captain America just being better at fighting than all of the other creatures that are left behind. We've got Savine's Reclamation in here too, because a lot of our equipment are low enough cost that this can help get them back. And in a pinch, you can use this to get lands back from your graveyard for any of the fetching lands like Evolving Wilds and things like that. The instance suite is pretty basic. We have mostly removal spells and protection spells. Flare of Fortitude's fun because it's free. Inventory Management's really the only super interesting card in here. It's a split second, attach each equipment you control to a creature. It's really good. We want to glue all of the things that we can to whatever we want. This is how we do it. And now we'll get into the artifacts where everything is actually interesting. So, we won't go over all the mana rocks. Mana rocks are basic. But we'll go over the kind of key artifacts, or the key equipment, the like top 4 that I think it fit what the strategy means best. And then we'll go back from there. So we're going to start talking with Eater of Virtue. This is a 1-cost equipment, and it says whenever the equipped creature dies, exile it. Equipped creature gets +2/+0. As long as a card exiled with Eater of Virtue has flying, equipped creature has flying. The same is true for First Strike, Double Strike, Death Touch, Haste, Hexproof, Indestructible, Lifelink, Menace, Protection, Reach, Trample, and Vigilance. And it equips for 1, which is already pretty solid. Obviously, because we're doing the keyword soup strategy, this equipment will be pretty good. You want to put this on a creature that already has either keywords or equipment giving it keywords. Notably, you don't really want to put it on Captain America until it has the ability to give him keywords, because he won't actually be able to give the sword keywords. When he dies, if you exile him, you can't recast him unless you put him back in your command zone. And once he's in the command zone, the Eater of Virtue doesn't work with him anymore. So this is something you want to equip to a different creature that has either keywords already or equipment that's giving it keywords. Because this will just copy those keywords onto it when that creature dies. If it's getting those keywords from an equipment, this will still see it and gain them. And that's really powerful for us. We've got Embercleave in here as the second one. It's a big honkin' equipment. It's a way for us to deal bigger damage with Captain America. It gives Double Strike and Trample, which is... Double Strike's one of the ones that it's harder for us to get consistently, so having an equipment that can give it, having an equipment that costs less, both fantastic options, and it is a higher mana cost, so it can be used to deal the final damage we need to win the game. Next up, we have Gorgon's Head, actually, as the number 3 equipment in here. And it's very simple. It's a 1-man equipment that says equipped creature has Death Touch. And I'm talking about it as one of the important ones in here, because half of the equipment in here are just that effect, basically. Either give Death Touch and do nothing else, or give Death Touch and do, like, one other kind of relevant thing. Captain America having Death Touch was the main idea for the gimmick, because throwing the shield and it just insta-killing anything, whether it's a 1/1 or a 10/10, is really funny to me. So Death Touch equipment take a priority in here for me. And a lot of our white creatures up top, the blue creatures up top, and the red creatures up top, they don't have Death Touch innately or any easy ways to gain it. So these equipment will help us add that to the keyword soup. The fourth one I want to talk about here is Sunforger. So Captain America can obviously attach it back to himself without having to worry about the 3 equip cost, which is really nice. Sunforger already incentivizes us to unattach it from the creature that we're putting it on. So after we've used it to get the searching value, we're totally fine with sticking it on Captain America and just bouncing it off of creatures aimlessly. This is one of the few decks where it's totally fine that it doesn't have cards for you to go get if you find it late game, because you're just happy that you have a big equipment to stick to Captain America. But we are running plenty of options for this card to go find things. So Sunforger says, search your library for red or white instant card with converted mana cost 4 or less, and play that card without paying its mana cost. Then shuffle your library. So we'll scroll up into our instance, and you'll note every single instant in this deck is mana cost 4 or less. So once we have Sunforger, it says search for any instant in your deck and you can cast it without paying its mana cost. Once we've gone through all of them, we've gotten to cast 8 spells for free, and 2 of them attach equipment for free. 3 of them are removal spells. Like, that's fairly solid. We really like having that flexibility in the equipment to begin with. And then the 5th and final big equipment I want to talk about in this deck is the Aether Spark. It just came out in Aether Drift, and I adore this card literally and specifically just for Captain America. It has a lot of fun flavor implications for what I understand and know of the Marvel Universe, which is kind of fun. And it's just good. We'll get into what this card actually does. So it's a 4-cost, 4 loyalty, legendary artifact, planeswalker equipment. It says, as long as the Aether Spark is attached to a creature, The Ether Spark can't be attacked and has, whenever equipped creature deals combat damage during your turn, put that many loyalty counters on the Ether Spark. It has a +1 that says attach the Ether Spark to up to one target creature you control. Put a +1/+1 counter on that creature. -5 is draw 2 cards. And -10 is add 10 mana of any one color. Bonkers. Okay. Give me a sec. Dr. Pepper. So, obviously it's fun to turn Captain America into a Planeswalker, but it's also good to turn Captain America into a Planeswalker with this. It's a 4-cost equipment. We can attach it with Captain America's ability for free, so we don't even need to use the +1 to attach it to a creature. Obviously, the +1 just does do that, and you'll want to do it at least once. But note that you don't have to with Captain America. With Captain America, if you can guarantee he's going to get through combat damage-wise the turn you play the Ether Spark, you play it, go to combat, equip, and you still get your activation of the Ether Spark post-combat now that it's gotten the loyalty counters. And since we're running all this keyword soup stuff going on, that's going to be super difficult for people to get around because you're going to have a lot of Death Touch and Lifelink and First Strike, and it's going to be really hard for you to be a good block against an opponent, basically. It's going to be really hard for them to go, oh god, I've got something to block this. Even if Captain America remains only like a 4/4 for most of the game, if he's a 4/4 with First Strike, Vigilance, Trample, Death Touch, and an Indestructible, it's going to be really hard for people to interact with that. And if you turn that into a Planeswalker with these abilities, it's going to be really potent. The draw 2 cards is, again, another really solid way we can establish card advantage in this equipment deck. Equipment decks struggle really hard with card advantage. That's like one of the things that we keep seeing with the commanders that get printed for it, is that they all try to kind of establish a new version of card advantage for the deck. I'm happier to just take cards like this that just give me the card advantage in the weird niche way that I want it to be. Down in our enchantments, we only have the 4. Training Grounds makes Captain America's ability cost less because it's an activated ability. Flowering of the White Tree, another card that incentivizes the legendary creature's strategy. It gives them all ward and a +2/+1 buff. Concerted Efforts says, at the beginning of each player's upkeep, all creatures you control gain flying until end of turn if a creature you control has flying. The same is true for First Strike, Double Strike, Land Walk, Protection, Trample, and Vigilance. Keyword soup, just on an enchantment. And then Blacksmith's Talent, it makes an equipment that doesn't have a mana cost because it is an equipment. That part is kind of not really what we care about. The level 2, at the beginning of a combat, you attach an equipment. It's just another redundancy for the Captain America style effect. And then the level 3 is during your turn, equipped creatures you control have double strike and haste. Big scary words, beat down time. And the land base here is actually super boring. There's not anything crazy. We have Monumental Henge and the Archway of Innovation. Look at the top 5, get a historic card advantage. And Archway of Innovation is improvise, mana advantage. Other than that, the lands are fairly basic. And you'll note that in this deck, I don't have any of the other cards from the secret layer itself. Truth be told, that's just because I really wanted to focus on the card itself, and I didn't buy the rest of the secret layer. I just have the Captain America, so I built a deck themed around what I had access to at the time of building. Obviously, if you build the deck and you have the secret layer, those cards are all really good. It includes, I think, what is it? There's Sword of Worn Peace is Captain America's shield, and there's a Sigarda's Aid in there that's just Captain America's aid. It's a really cool secret layer. I think it's really rad, actually. I just didn't pick up the rest of them, at least not yet. But yeah, that's the deck for you today, guys. And, shoot. I thought I had more words to say. Oh, right, there's a movie. There's a movie coming out for the new Captain America. So, algorithm, boost this one for me. I would appreciate it. But that's it for you guys. This is the Captain America deck. I really appreciate everything that you guys have done so far interacting with me as a creator and with this channel. Collectively, the channel has just gotten short of 4,000 views overall as a channel after about a month of posting videos. And that's all from what you guys have been doing and what you guys have provided as interaction for me and what I'm trying to achieve here with the people that I'm working with. So genuinely, from like the bottom of my heart, thank you to the whole 27 of you that are currently subscribed, and to the limitless possibilities of those of you who could in the future. I've been getting a lot of good feedback from people in comments, and it's felt really good to connect with a community over something that has been part of my life for as long as this has been. Thank you guys all so much. If you liked this video, go ahead and click the little thumbs up down there. If you want to subscribe, that'd be super cool. I know I would appreciate it. And if you could ring the little bell so I can irritate you every time I post a new video, that would be super appreciated. Thank you guys. Have a good one.